Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Face the Truth. Had a fun one this week, but real quick before we continue on, I was supposed to be talking with Philip Burke this week. A lot of you sent in artwork for that talk. That's still going to happen. It's just being postponed and rescheduled. He had a couple deadlines that came up, so he had to take care of those, understandably. So anyways, I will still be talking with Philip Burke. That's still happening. There's some awesome other guests coming up really soon that I'm not going to announce just yet, but it's going to be cool. So I'm really excited. Anyways, let's get into it. My guest this week is an awesome artist that I was just introduced to. She is very talented. She does a lot of awesome movie posters, really loves movies, and you can see it in her work. And I had a really good time talking with her. She's really cool. She's got a really nice little southern accent. That's a lot of fun. And she loves cats. She likes cats a lot. And that's questionable. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, it was a real fun time talking with her. And yeah, without further ado, please welcome Chelsea Lowe. There's baby crying, and we are rolling. So Chelsea, this is awesome. Now this is a little bit different for me because I'm very new to who you are and your work.
Yeah.
Most people that I've had on are artists that I've known for years or known of or whatever. But as you may know, I had Drew Struzan on recently, and somebody wrote me and said, "Hey, you got to check out this Chelsea girl. She's pretty."
Was it Dennis?
It might have been Dennis, yeah.
Dennis Hart, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he told me I was like,
oh, okay, that's awesome. And I looked at your work and I was like, damn, this is awesome stuff. It's really cool. Your work is really cool, and it's you got a lot of it. You're very prolific, and the other thing, I can tell you have a real love for movies, and you can see that in the work, and it's great. So I don't know that much about you, except for the fact that I think your work is pretty awesome. So
I draw.
so where are you from? Who are you? What's going on with you?
I'm in Piney Flats, Tennessee, which is about like 20 minutes from the Bristol racetrack, about an hour and a half from Knoxville. Yeah, I love art. I love reading. I love animals. I have 3 cats and a German Shepherd. I love like true crime and watching documentaries and all that stuff, and movies and TV.
Man, I love Tennessee. That's a place that
it's beautiful.
I've considered escaping to maybe later in my life. My wife and I like to go to the Smokies for vacation. Go up to those cabins. It's so much fun.
I love Pigeon Forge and Sevierville. It's a beautiful place.
Oh yeah,
especially in the fall.
Yeah, we've only gone. Usually, it's been in the summertime. It gets pretty friggin' hot.
Yeah, it does.
It's pretty hot.
Very.
But it's fun. We both. My wife's also an artist, so we like to go there and like do plein air paintings and stuff. And what was cool is the last place that we were at. We had a balcony that had this amazing view of just the mountains. So you could just like set up your plein air boxes and just paint right on the. It's awesome. So so you're an artist, obviously. What got you into the whole movie poster thing? Because it's interesting. A lot of artists, most artists, have a portfolio, and it's like for me, for example, you'll see magazine covers, book covers. I've done a few movie posters, a variety of illustrations, but yours is just movie posters. It's like, hey, listen, I'm going to take this over. Is that kind of the mentality there?
A little bit. I know when I was in high school, I first started out doing just the regular photorealistic portrait pencil sketches, and then eventually I kind of just branched out into creating like the digital paintings, and then of like my favorite fictional characters and stuff, and favorite actors. And then I think it was, the Thing art book. It was like published by Printed in Blood.
About the Thing, you said?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's an art book that was published back a few years ago. But I think that was kind of I created a digital painting submission that was kind of a tribute to that movie, and I think that kind of like kickstarted the whole like movie poster, alternative movie poster passion that I now have of creating tributes to like different movies that I love and stuff. And then eventually I kind of um, started doing like odd freelance jobs for like independent posters and such. I also do a lot of conventions too, with like where I travel to different artist alleys,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, like most of my stuff is like fan art. So I've just catered, I guess, my love for movie art for that. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous.
Oh, you don't have to be nervous. No, you know
Yeah.
what? I think that's great. That's very smart too, because especially if you're going to be going to conventions and artist alleys, to have
Yeah.
work that's more like pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, it's funny because I've been to several conventions, and I always have a hard time there because I don't have a lot of extra time to do like
Right.
extra pop culture things, and
Mm-hmm.
so I've been to conventions to sell my books and stuff, but it's like I do a lot of like illustration work
Mm-hmm.
with political figures or different
Right.
whatever. It's like nobody wants to buy fucking prints of
Oh,
like Donald Trump
I know,
or
right?
anybody like that. So it's like, what do I sell? Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's for what you're doing is actually a very smart idea, because you've got like, you know, you know, even like your own work on the side. You're doing, you know, poster creations of paintings that you like, that
Mhm.
lots of people like, you know. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like, who doesn't like Hellboy or whatever, you know? So I
Yeah.
think that's a really smart idea.
Yeah, something
Um,
else, like, different conventions have different celebrity guests, and if there's a guest there that I want to meet, like there was one a few years ago that had a Hellboy reunion with Ron Perlman and Selma Blair and Doug Jones, so that's what I did the Hellboy poster for. And then, of course, fans will buy the print, and then they'll have the cast members sign the poster. So
that's
that's
so cool.
another reason
You
I do
know,
it too.
I met Ron Perlman. It was really weird. I went to I've only been to the San Diego Comic-Con once, and
Yeah.
I want to go again. It was such a great time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was there, I heard a bunch of my friends that are like Pixar guys that I was hanging out with were like, "Hey, there's like this hotel and a bunch of artists. We're all gonna go. There's like pool, and we're all gonna go and sit there and just sketch and
I
draw."
can't tell. That just
It's like, and we're gonna all go sit there and sketch and hang out in this hotel. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So I brought my sketchbook and went, and we're all hanging out. And it was so interesting because all of a sudden Ron Perlman walks in and he's holding this. I mean, let's face it, all they do is slap some paint on his face, and I mean, he
Yeah.
looks like Hellboy.
pretty much.
So yeah, with those sunken in eyes that are a little bit too close together,
Mm-hmm.
about a mile between his nose and his lips.
Yeah.
But he walks in and he's holding this little cute little puppy, and it's sort of like ironic because he's rough and gruff and Hellboy.
Yeah.
And he walks in and he's like, "Hey boys, what you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh my, it's Hellboy. This is crazy."
So
And yeah, and he's like, "You guys drawing pictures and stuff?" He's like, and then he just walked around and looked at everyone's drawings, and
Mhm.
he's like, "All right, see you guys later." It was so cool. It was like, oh,
yeah.
that's Hellboy.
He's so sweet. Yeah, when they did the Hellboy reunion at a convention in Knoxville, I was in line to meet Ron Perlman, and like I was bored and checking my Instagram. I noticed I was getting all these like likes and followers and stuff, and apparently Ron Perlman had like reblogged my Hellboy poster onto like his Instagram. I was like getting all these like new followers from that, and like when I got up there to meet him, he was like, "Hey, I just posted this on my page, like, a few minutes ago."
That's
And
awesome.
he like tagged me in it, and he started following me too. So I gave him a print of the poster, so he really loved it.
That's
He's
so
really
cool.
cool and supportive.
Yeah, it's a weird thing when you bump into those people and you realize, oh, they're just people.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
It's so funny. The same thing happened to me with this is kind of interesting. It's like the first time I went to Wizard World in Chicago,
Yeah.
I was there with Schoolism and with Bobby Chu,
Mm-hmm.
and I was actually at their booth and everything, and I took a little walk around, and I saw Lou Ferrigno, the
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk, from the '70s
Mm-hmm.
show, and he was just sitting at his table, and it was really interesting because I was blown away, like, oh my gosh, there's Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
But it was really sad and depressing because he was all by himself.
Oh.
Nobody was walking by. He looked really depressed, and it was like really sad. And I remember I took a picture of him because I couldn't, and I felt bad that I took a picture of him. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's like he's like a animal in a zoo or something. Like, it just felt weird.
Yeah.
And I went up to him and I said hi, and he's like, hey. And like I shook his hand, and it was crazy. Like my hand disappeared in his hand.
Oh, goodness.
And he was really nice, but he just seemed,
Mm-hmm.
and then he seemed bummed out. And then at the end of the convention, I was walking by again, and everyone's tearing their things down, and he's tearing his own booth down.
Oh,
He's
wow.
putting all his things away, and I'm like, this poor guy is like,
Let me help. Gosh.
like no one cares anymore, and it's like so sad. So, but then what happened was, I think the following year or so, that Hulk movie came out with Edward Norton,
Mm-hmm.
and they hired him to be the Hulk voice. So whenever he turned into the Hulk, it was actually Lou Ferrigno's voice.
Yeah.
And then I think he also played like a little cameo in the movie, like as some security guard or something. Well, the next time I went to Wizard World, all of a sudden it was different. All of a sudden it was like Lou Ferrigno was famous again, and all these people were in line, and I remember just feeling so much better for him. Like,
That's good.
okay, yeah. Whew. It's kind of weird though. It's kind of a strange thing going to those Comic Cons, like
Mhm.
you see like the celebrities that, like I remember Bobby Chu and I went, we went to a hotel to sketch and to have some beers, and all of a sudden we were like sitting in this section, and all of a sudden, like they started blocking our section off,
Mhm.
and what's going on? And they said, oh no, you guys can stay here. And we're like, okay. So we just stayed there and started sketching. And then all of a sudden we realized that they enclosed us in a VIP section for celebrities that were at the convention. So all of a sudden, all these celebrities come into this area that we're sitting at, and we're just looking at each other like, are we
So
supposed
cool.
to be here? But it was funny because it was like, who sat right next to me, I couldn't believe it, was, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name, Lois Lane from the Christopher Reeve movies.
Wow. Yeah.
You've got me. Who's got you? The whole time I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Lois Lane. That's Lois Lane.
Awesome.
It was like so weird, but she looked so old and like, withered, and she could hardly talk. I think she was like growing cigarettes out of the moles on her neck. I mean, it was really creepy.
Yeah.
But anyways, those conventions are interesting.
Yeah, they're always a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun now.
I've missed them so much this year.
Mm-hmm.
Conventions are like half my income almost, and it's just like wiped me out just about.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask next. Is like when you like right now. I mean, you're probably depending mostly just like on online print sales and stuff like that.
Pretty
Is that how
much.
it works?
My online store and just commissions, mostly at the moment.
Yeah. Are you keeping busy enough? I mean, it's been slow for me as well. Like it's been a weird time.
Yeah, it's been kind of decent, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess considering it's been okay.
Yeah.
It could be a lot better.
Yeah.
I know my actual movie poster commissions have as if non-existent, of course, because nothing is coming out in theaters right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but oh well. What can you do?
Yeah, it's definitely a very strange time. We're kind of all trying to figure it out together. What's going on?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about your work that you do. Like, I mean, for you, what makes a good movie poster? Like, what is it that like you think of when you're putting together some kind of a whatever, like let's just say it's like some show that you're watching that you really like and you're inspired, like what's the first thing that you do to approach that?
Well, I usually watch the movie or show a couple of times. Usually I like to include the cast members or the main cast members, And then I like incorporate, I guess, iconic and eye-catching, I guess, symbolism from the show or the movie and stuff.
Yeah.
Like with the Maleficent poster, I knew I wanted to have the whole like the green smoke that's like so iconic for her character, and the crow like sitting on her cane, and all the like I guess magic and stuff like kind of guiding your eye down to the castle like below and stuff. I like a lot of, like, I guess, organizing the poster in a way that your eye kind of moves throughout the piece.
Do you do like a lot of like rough doodles, like just to kind of play around with
I do
composition?
sometimes, yeah. I don't do it as much as I probably should, but I do like create a lot of different like concept sketches to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work.
So like one thing I noticed about your posters, which is pretty cool, is you seem to have like there's a lot of color that pops, like, so there'll be a poster that's just mostly just reds, yellows, and oranges, and it just pops out. Or there'll be like one you said that's got the greens with violets, and so is that something that you pre-plan before you start working, or is it just something that kind of just organically happens?
It depends. For the most part, I kind of have a rough color scheme in mind. Like Hellboy, of course, is going to be all fiery and reds and oranges and stuff. And Maleficent, I knew from the beginning I wanted to be like mostly green. But sometimes I don't like. But sometimes I kind of get like stuck on a color scheme, so I'll like play with, I guess, gradient maps and stuff in Photoshop to kind of figure out if a warmer color scheme will work good for this piece, or if I should go like with like blues or purples or something. Sometimes I'll like create a couple of different like color versions to see what works better for that.
So this actually brings up a question that I thought of before, but now it just popped back in my mind, which is good. So I get the impression, are you mostly a digital artist?
Nowadays I'm mostly a digital artist. I started out doing traditional portraits and drawings and paintings on actual, paper and stuff. It's something I really like to get back to. I just am too busy with, I guess, digital commissions to.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is like
too much.
I was going to ask, like, when you work digitally, do you create some kind of a palette of color? Like, are you working with palettes of colors, like like complementary palettes or split comp palettes or different things like that? Or is it more of a digital thing where you kind of just use the swatches and just kind of paint what feels right? Like, oh, I'm going to add some reds to this or whatever. I'm asking because I'm curious, because I've noticed that it's interesting to me. Like, a lot of artists, there's a few artists that I've met now that only work digital and have never painted traditionally. And when I talk to them about their process, it's really interesting to me because they're not thinking about, like, I'm thinking about a completely different way when I work. Like, I'm thinking about, like, red and yellow make orange. That's what I'm thinking. And like, I'm thinking like I mix these colors and that's how I work. And I need to add some gray to cool it and whatever else but I'm finding out that more and more artists that work digitally don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. They just, so I'm just curious, like, what your approach is, because I find it interesting. And it's funny because I do a lot of digital painting myself, but I'm not very good with Photoshop. Like, I'm still confused about the whole masking thing, and I haven't taken the time to figure it out. So that's one thing right there. You use mask all the time for what? Like, how? Because this is so weird to me, because I still haven't grasped this mask thing. It makes no sense. It's weird to me. I mostly work on like 1 or 2 layers while I paint. And then I
have like 200 like layers in Photoshop.
See, this is the thing that's it overwhelms me a little bit. And so would you mind like indulging me? Like, what do you, when you're using a mask and all that, like, how does that work?
Well, for the Photoshop mask, what I usually do is I sometimes kind of use it like an eraser almost. Like I'll paint out like what I don't need or to clean up the edges, and if I need to like re-add something, I'll switch out. You have the little black and white boxes. You use the black to erase in the mask, and then the white to, I guess, re-add what you like just erased in a mask. I'm not making like no sense at all.
Well, see, that's the thing is like I've never found the use of mask before,
Mm-hmm.
and artists still tell me like, "Oh, dude, you have to use mask, man." And I don't get like why do I have to use that?
It keeps your, I guess, layers more editable.
Yeah. That might be another George Bushism.
I know, right? But yeah.
Like, okay, so if I'm doing a painting and I'm about to start a piece right now for someone,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a character on a horse, and there's going to be like a Western type feeling. What I usually do is I'll usually paint the background on a background layer.
Yeah.
And as I'm coming forward, like let's say I'm going to add foliage or whatever else, I might add new layers on top of those kind of layers, so that if I want to, I can adjust those different layers.
Right.
But eventually I usually just flatten them all down because it's just a background. But it depends on how I'm going to work on the specific piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then my main character will be on a layer above and that sort of a thing. But that's basically it. I won't have many more. So I guess I'm just confused on what, like, okay, let me put it this way. I worked on a project recently where I had to send my painting in layers, how I had it. And they were so confused. They're like, where's all the other layers? I'm like, this is just it. It's a painting, and I just painted it. And then they sent me back the file with all this text because they were doing all the graphic design parts of it. And they were wanting me to adjust things, and I couldn't even figure out how to change the color on the text. They had all these different layers with all these things clicked inside and folders, and that's how confused I am about it. I'm like, what is going on? I just, so I feel like, like the old school, like I'm like an old school illustrator using Photoshop. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense either. I just get confused when there's like so you say you'll have like 200 layers.
Sometimes, maybe not quite 200, but I have a lot of layers. Depends, of course, how complicated the poster is and stuff. But how I usually start out is I like to start out in grayscale first, starting out as a black and white painting. And when I get about, I don't know, 30% or 40% done with that, I guess the underpainting, I go in with color overlay layers, like, the blending modes in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll like set the layer to color, and I'll start coloring the base colors there on top of the grayscale painting. And then once I kind of get somewhat of a colorized version of it done, I go in with different. Do you ever use like gradients in Photoshop, or gradient layers or gradient maps? But I use those like gradient layers to kind of help put like I guess, color overlay or something on top of that to make the colors like really like pop out and become more vibrant and stuff. And then from there is kind of like where I do like the remaining detail work once I get that vibrant like color palette established from those gradient layers. Does that make any sense?
No, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's I work similar in a way. I mean, sometimes what I'll do is I've done this before where I'll have most of my painting finished, and then I'll make a layer on top and experiment with like maybe taking like a layer of like maybe like a vibrant orange or something, and then changing the layer to like overlay or
Yeah.
something, like just to see what it does to the overall image, because
Yeah.
sometimes it just kind of pulls things together a little bit, and there's
Yeah,
it almost
does.
adds an atmosphere to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've played with things that way a little bit, or experimented with maybe what would a green tint over this feel like, just
Right.
but
Mhm.
like, yeah, I don't know, I just find it interesting. I always find it interesting how learning how different artists work when it comes to Photoshop, because
Right.
um it's funny. I'm just not really. I haven't taken the time to
Mm-hmm.
learn everything about Photoshop, because for me personally, it's just like I just basically use the paintbrush tool and the eraser tool, and
Yeah.
and I use the lasso tool.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
I
it. But
sometimes
like,
use that. Yeah.
yeah, it's so it's kind of, I personally, my personal philosophy with with painting digitally is I try to not abuse the computer as much as I want to try to have my own, I guess, thumbprint as much as
Right.
possible,
Mhm.
because it becomes difficult. There's so many digital artists out there,
Mm-hmm.
and so much of the work looks the same to me. So, especially in concept art,
Yeah, I've noticed
like,
that too with
to me,
concept art.
concept art is so boring. I'm sorry, it really is, but
Yeah.
there's so many artists out there, and they're great, they're talented, and they're
It
making
just
a
kind of
great
looks
living.
the same, especially all
All looks
just
this.
fantasy art.
Oh, it all looks the same. It's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that
It's
was my
really
fear.
good, but it just looks the same.
Oh yeah, it is very good. Like, there's
Yeah.
artists out there that I'm like, wow, that's like freaking,
I'm
like
jealous.
one of the, I think Craig Mullins, right? I think that's his name.
He
Yeah,
sounds familiar.
he's friggin' insane. He's like the godfather of concept art,
Yeah.
scenery, and so on. He's just insanely incredible. But when I first started doing digital, which is like forever ago now, um, I just, I was really worried about it, because I didn't want to lose myself. Like, I felt that digital work was fake at first. Like, it wasn't like,
Right.
it just seemed like cheating.
Yeah.
But
a lot
once
of
I
people think
start,
that.
yeah, and once I started doing it, I realized, oh wait, no, I
Lot
can
more to
actually,
it.
yeah, and I can really actually draw and paint with this. So, but
Yeah.
I my point is that I've tried to just keep as
Mhm.
much of me in it as possible.
Right.
Like, when you're working, like, that's one thing, again, like, what I like about your work is you
Mhm.
do a lot of great things with color. And
Mhm.
so that's why I was curious about your palettes. Like, if you actually create palettes, or if it's just more as you're going, you just
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
feel
as
like,
I'm going.
because I've done that before too, where I'm like, I'm just
Mhm.
going to see what happens with this.
Yeah.
So I was just curious. Like, I love that Ad Astra piece you did.
Oh, thank you.
Uh,
That was so fun.
yeah, that's a really cool. How did you get that one, by the way? That's through the company?
Yeah, the poster posse. Yeah,
Okay.
it was one of the posters I did through them. I think it was like me, maybe 3 or 4 other artists. We all did posters for that
That's so
social
cool.
media campaign. Yeah, it was so cool. It was a
That
lot of
is awesome. So when you get contacted for a job like that, do they just uh it's funny, I wonder if I've done something for that. No, that's not the same company I'm thinking of. I did some poster stuff for Gravillis, I think. Is what
Mhm.
they're, I don't know, I'm getting confused right now. But anyways, so when they contact you for stuff like that, do you know, is it like for an ad campaign, or like?
So far all the projects I've done for the poster posse, most of them are for their digital marketing and social media marketing. They'll just post it on the movie companies, and I guess the official accounts for those films will post it on their like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and stuff to get people like hyped up and excited for the movie.
That's cool. And
That's pretty much
do
what
they
it's.
give you like free range creativity to come up with your own design and that
Um,
sort of thing, or?
Sometimes we have quite a bit of free range. What I usually do is I'll send in like 3 or 4, maybe 5 different like concept sketches, and then their marketing team, the studio's marketing team will pick their favorite of those concepts,
Mm.
and then from there I pretty much just create the final art based on that concept. Usually, like for like the feedback I get from the the marketing team, which is relayed through our agents. Usually it's like maybe like improving likeness or changing the size or position of something. It's usually not anything too like crazy as far as like modifications. Usually once we get that concept nailed down, it's like pretty much easy to finish the rest of it from there.
Yeah, you just take it from there. That's cool. Yeah, I was just wondering how much. I did a movie poster last year, and it was kind of weird because they controlled every part of it, and they actually put together the poster themselves for the most part. The face was terrible, and I had to come up with a face to make it work. Reference to try to fit the pose that they already pre-selected. Like it was kind of weird. Like every part of the poster was like basically like, okay, paint this. I'm like, it felt weird. It was very strange. I didn't like it. I wish they would have let me. And the other thing is I didn't know anything about this movie at all.
Oh yeah.
Like
that makes it harder.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't even know what the feeling is, or so. That's why I was curious, like how much.
Did you not see a trailer for it or anything?
No, I actually had to look it up on my own. I looked it up on my own and watched some stuff, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get this, but it was this. It was basically a pitch, like we're gonna pitch this poster, and if we're gonna pay you this much, wasn't very much money, and then if they choose this to go forward, then we'll pay you more.
Right.
More money there. And but the whole process just seemed weird to me. I was like, this does not seem like the way to do this. Like that's why I was curious. Like with your Mandalorian piece, which is awesome, by the way. That's very excellent design. Very strong design, very awesome lighting, and it's really cool. That'd be a great t-shirt too, by the way. It's awesome.
Yeah. I wish they'd make shirts.
That would be cool. How did that one go about? How did you? Because that's so cool. First of all, congratulations. That's an awesome one to get.
Thank you so much.
Great show, popular show.
Amazing show.
Yeah. So how did that go? Because I mean, I'm assuming they're very particular about the character and So do they supply you with like lots of awesome references, or they're like, hey, figure it out?
They probably would have like supplied references if I asked for them, but I pretty much got all the references I needed just from like watching the show on Disney Plus. I would take screen caps of what references I needed for his pose and all the other little background elements. So that wasn't too bad.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they were more strict about like the positioning of the title text. Because that was another poster posse project, and there was I think it was like, how many episodes were there? Like 9 or 10 episodes, something like that. But like,
I think it's 8 actually, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess it was 8.
I've seen it I think I've watched it 3 times now already. I really like it.
I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 episodes, and like 8 artists were commissioned to create a poster for each like episode. So I was selected to do episode 1, and the marketing team, they wanted to make sure that we use the same like version of the logo and the same like type for the episode titles and stuff. So that was the main thing they were like strict on. They wanted it to be like a summary of that episode and not just a, I guess, general advertisement for the entire series.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's no, so is that another thing that you do a lot as well, is text? Like, do you do a lot of graphic design work as well?
A little bit, not too much.
I find that for me, I find it very frustrating because I'm not a graphic designer. I did do that a long time ago for a magazine. Years ago, I worked for a company, but I don't even know how to do it anymore. I don't have and I get asked all the time for certain like pieces. We want to add all this text, or we were expecting you to do the text. I'm like, wait a minute, I draw pictures.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
so
have
what I
to
do?
add the top
Yeah, and
out
it's
ourselves, unfortunately.
yeah, and it's like, and I have like literally no fonts on my computer. Like,
So
I am
I have
not
to
like,
fonts on my computer.
like I did an ad campaign last, like I think it was November and December maybe, and it was a really fun project. But they wanted me to do these posters that looked like Rosie the Riveter type posters.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like this campaign to promote strong women uh, in the workforce and different. Like one of them was a welder, one of them was a like a professional soccer player, and whatever. There was like really cool different jobs they did. But so when I agreed to do the job, it was great. I really enjoyed doing the process. But then partial way through, they're like wanting to see how the text is going to look, and I was like, wait. There's some confusion here. Like I do not know how to do this. Like, and I always feel a little bit silly because aren't you supposed to be an artist? It's like, yeah, but I'm not. Like, I also can't play the flute. I'm not a flute player. Like, but I looked through a lot of your work and I saw that there's some of it has really cool text stuff. So that's what I was curious if you do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always. I actually have a few friends that are more into the graphic design thing, and every once in a while, when I need something like that, I'll just like send them like, hey, what could you do something real quick? Because it's frustrating for me. I don't know. I don't like it one bit.
It's one of the more boring aspects of creating posters.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of I got really inspired after when I was talking with Drew Struzan, and I watched some of his videos and so on, and I was I'm always trying to think of things to do for myself, for like my own portfolio, like different things I could try to do to get more engage different crowds or different audiences. And I was thinking of trying to come together with work on a movie poster for fun. Like, how would I do a movie poster? Because I've done them before, but usually, like I said, it's usually this is exactly what we want. So but I think us as illustrators would prefer to be at that point where we are the ones that make those decisions, right? Oh, yeah. Like where you don't need to tell me how to do it. You came to me for a reason, and I'm going to show you what I do.
That's right.
So, but I was actually just watching Spaceballs the other day, and I was thinking, man, that'd be really cool. I was thinking either doing a Spaceballs poster. How I would do the movie posters for Spaceballs. Just really, like, I love that movie ever since I was a little kid. So fun. And so I was thinking I might do that for fun, like try to put together like a really cool Spaceballs poster. And then I was thinking, what if I came up with Spaceballs 2? Like maybe it's called The Schwartz Awakens, and like something like that. I was like trying to come up with ideas and like, what could I do? And then I'm like, oh, but John Candy's dead. What am I going to do with Mog? I don't know. Like, then I was even thinking like, do I recast him myself? Who would be that character? And then I started thinking about like comedians or whatever that could play that part. Like, I went down this weird rabbit hole. I'm like, maybe I'll just stick with the first movie for fun. But the truth is, I don't have my own time right now. So this is just grand delusions right now. But I think it's a fun idea, and I think it's a fun challenge to do something a little bit different.
Oh yeah.
But are you in the habit of watching like something and without because you've done so many of these now?
Right.
Can you not turn that part off? Because I imagine like, oh man, I could do a poster of this.
Yeah, it's very hard to turn that off. Yeah. Especially like if I'm like watching The Office. I have like a never-ending like amount of ideas of art that I want to create for that show.
Yeah,
and it's like every time I watch an episode, I think of something new that I would like to do like a painting of or a poster of.
That's awesome. And that's a good one because like everyone loves that. I love that poster you did, by the way.
At Level Midnight.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Above my like most popular piece that I have like ever done.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's a good one. But that's a great example of what I'm talking about is, in the show, that's just a spoof of Michael's fantasy. And you made the fantasy into a real poster. It's pretty awesome. I thought it was great. Yeah.
You see the one that I did for it was like the Silence of the Lambs parody with like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Black Shrew, and I called it Silence of the Beats.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I saw in your Instagram post that you call yourself the mother of cats. You said you have 3 cats.
Yeah,
Right?
I have 3 cats. Yeah.
I was thinking about, I had this funny cat story I wanted to tell you.
Yes.
So we used to have cats.
Mm-hmm.
I miss them very much. Patches and Cash.
Oh.
And we got them because when my wife and I first started dating, I was going through a terrible divorce, and my daughters were like 9 and 5, or no, 8 and 5 or 8 and 4. I can't remember now. They were little, and I was like, I want to get them like a kitty cat.
Right.
Like, I think that'll make them feel good when they come to daddy's house. You know, like something for them to have, like their little pet. And I was just trying to, I wanted, because it's not a good time for kids. It's kind of a hard, rough thing. So. But nobody would sell me a cat, like just a cat. Like it was like it was like this process that I'm like, this is like trying to adopt a human.
It really
was crazy.
is.
I went to several different things, and they're like, you can't just have one. I'm like, I just want one cat. Like, okay, like just one. So it was like this thing, and anyways, we ended up getting these 2 cats. We had to get them both. They were which this is really weird, but so one was a calico and one was just like a American, cat.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they were born together from one mother, but they had 2 different dads. Kinky. I never even I did not know that happened, but it happens, I guess. Good thing that can't happen with people. That would be really weird.
That'd be awkward.
Yeah. But anyways, I love these cats. They were so cute, so sweet, but we ended up having to get rid of them because we were trying to have a baby, and these cats were so over affectionate that they could not be on top of you at all times. It just you take them off, they come back on, and it's we were worried that if with a newborn they were going to suffocate the baby or something. Right. And so we ended up bringing them back, and it was really sad. But we had them for about 4 years, I think, maybe 3.5, 4 years. And so we were pretty, we still miss them.
Yeah.
But anyways, I've got this story. Patches is the kind of cat. She was like big calico, and she was like to hide under things, and she'll come out eventually, and then she wants to snuggle, but she likes to kind of be by herself. Cash was like a little dog, would come to you. He could jump like on top of the refrigerator in 2 seconds. He was a crazy cat. And he, basically we went to Stockholm's, why am I blanking? Was it Stockholm? I think it was Stockholm. Yeah, it was. I went there for a schoolism thing where I was doing a workshop.
Yeah.
And we had asked our neighbors who live below us if they could come up. We gave them our keys and just check on the cats once a day, give them food, and make sure everything, and they're like, oh, no problem. So we're in Sweden, and it's been 4 days since we've been gone. 4. Okay.
Yeah.
And we get this, I'm about to go on stage. I'm talking at like 9 or 10 in the morning, and I get this text, and it says, hey, you only have 1 cat, right? And we're like, what are you talking about? And no, this was like the day before. This is the day before. You only have 1 cat, right? And we're like, no. We have 2 cats. And like, oh, because we can't find the other cat. I'm like, oh, she's probably just hiding. But it was, and they're like, no, we found her. She's here. We don't see the boy cat. I'm like, what? That's weird, because he comes to you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you've never met you. He will come up to you and purr on easily, love to everybody. So I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's weird. So just then I got a text or an email just before I'm about to go up and speak to do my workshop. And it says, we found Cash. We heard a noise while we walked by the refrigerator, and we opened the refrigerator, and he jumped out of the refrigerator.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what? So my cat was in the refrigerator for 4 days.
That's
basically.
nuts.
Like, what?
How did he even like survive?
I have no idea. That's what the craziest thing is
wild.
He had the habit of doing crazy things. Like if you opened the refrigerator, he would jump in.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
And so it
My
must have
girl has
been
done that a couple of times.
Yeah, it must have been like just before we left to get to catch our Uber.
Oh my gosh.
He must have jumped in and I shut the fridge. Had no idea. But for 4 days he was in there, and they said, "Oh, he's fine."
Crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that he could have like somehow like jumped and like grabbed the handle and like opened it himself or something? Or
No, there's no way. No. And there was nothing in there for him to eat.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what.
Oh my goodness.
4 days he's in there. I don't know how he could breathe.
That's terrifying.
You know, I just watched this movie. Have you seen this? It just came out with Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron. Gosh, I can't talk right now. I forget what it's called. But it just came out, and it's basically she's like her and these other people. They die. They can get killed, and they come right back to life.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
But the basics of it is you can keep doing that over and over and over again. So maybe then the whole 9 lives thing. Maybe he was in there, and he was just like he's back, and you know suffocates. Comes. I mean, that's just on a repeat. Mm-hmm. Total like cat hell.
You never know.
But yeah, that was very strange. Your cats ever do anything like that?
Nothing that crazy. Yeah, like Binky, the girl, she's jumped in the fridge while I would like open it and get something to drink or something. Not like, Binky, what are you doing? And I had to pick her up and set her back down. She'd actually like jump on top of the fridge and like hang out up there. They like high places.
Are you able to work with them? Because that's the thing.
Barely.
Oh my gosh,
I love to walk as they did earlier, like across my screen. It's so hard to like work around there. I would always have to, like right now in my studio, there's no way I could have the cats in this place because I have no door. My studio is like this open space. But like in my last apartment, I would have to. There's the thing. I never let them in my studio. If you notice that about cats, like it's like if they know there's a place that they can't go, they always try to get in there. Yeah, they do. And like anytime my door was just slightly open, the cat would just like run in there. Yeah. And then he'd like go into the spot where you can't get him out, and you're just like, God damn it. But I would have like oil paint and stuff. And I'm like, they're gonna totally. Yeah. And he did that before. He ate a bunch of oil paint, which I don't know. Yikes. Again, this is where they have 9 lives thing comes from because he should have been dead. Several times. That's probably another reason why I don't do a lot of like traditional painting is like I think it was like back in October I was doing a watercolor or it was actually gouache painting for like the first time ever, and I had my water that I was cleaning the brushes with and stuff, and I would catch Binky like several times trying to drink the water that I was had my brushes in. So yeah, she would always yeah. I was like, no, you don't need to poison yourself. My cat did this. Cash would do this thing where it was really creepy. He did this like weird. First of all, he would kind of give himself away. Like you could tell what he's about to do. Like he would always jump on top of our TV. We're trying to watch TV, and he'd jump in right in front of the TV. Like, dude. Oh yeah, Atlas. Give him off. Boy, he does that all the time. He would stand up and go like this. Before he does it, he'd stand up and he'd go. Like that, and then he'd jump, and then if you ever saw something like a bird or a squirrel or something, he'd go. Oh yeah. Like almost like he's having a little seizure of sorts. Yeah, it's so funny. But I was gonna, you know what? I'm gonna do this real quick. I have this is kind of interesting. Let me find it real quick. So I asked people to send in questions for you. Because you were like a last minute addition for this week. And I just wanted to talk with you. And normally I do like a fan art thing, but I didn't figure I had any time. But 2 people sent in fan art, which I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll show her. That's pretty cool. Oh, wow. So I'll show you that in a second. But I do have a question from someone named Sneaky Arts. Questions from fans. And I looked up Sneaky Arts on Instagram, and if I'm correct, it's a kid from
Dubai, who's 15 years old.
Yeah, he does really good poster work.
Oh, okay. So you know who that is then?
Yeah, we
Okay.
follow each other on Twitter. I think Instagram too.
All right.
His work is really good for like his age.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Amazing.
He says, so I'm sneaky. First of all, I'm sorry that your parents named you that. That's a little weird, but we'll get past that. I'm an artist just like you guys, and as I'm starting out in illustration, I have a few questions. How do you find your perfect workflow? Which I'm not 100% sure exactly what he means by that, but maybe he means like a rhythm, maybe like when you're working on something. How do you keep things from getting messy while painting digitally? Maybe he means
like
organized.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then how do you draw a pose of someone without references?
Okay.
So
let's tackle the last one.
Yeah.
I have to have references when I draw anyone. But something I do is I'll take like multiple references and I'll kind of combine them. Like I might have like one photo that shows their body and costume, and then I'll have like maybe another one that has their arm in the correct pose. Then I might have like another photo that has for their head, and then I kind of organize them and kind of make a little Photoshop comp to kind of give me an idea of what they would look like with those like 3 photos combined.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. I do very similar things, and then another thing that I do is on my computer you will find a lot of photos that you could blackmail me and my wife and other people with. Lots of weird outfits.
Yeah, also like take photos of myself occasionally.
Yeah. I have pictures of me in dresses and weird poses and I mean, basically, it's cool because we live in a time like right now. Rockwell would just be like in heaven as far as like being able to. I mean, because I don't know if you've ever read his book, but it's pretty cool. You should read it. It's a really good book, and he talks all about his life as an illustrator. Right. And he would pose. He would have to have people come over and he would put them in costumes and it would be this whole photo shoot with the light. And it's a huge process. And then you can't even tell if the photos worked or not. You have to get them developed. And one of my favorite things I like to bring up is that there's one particular story where he talks about he had to paint a duck. And so what he did was he actually had a duck in his studio that he nailed its feet to a piece of wood so it couldn't go anywhere. Like he nailed through its little toes or the webbing or whatever. And this duck was just stuck there all day. Yeah. And he would paint it, it's like,
oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So that's one way to do it. But I mean, now it's like, it's cool. I mean, these phones are getting so good that even pictures on the phone are great references.
Like I hardly ever use my actual DSLR camera anymore. I just whip out my phone. It's just so much easier, and I can just upload it to my Dropbox instead of hooking up the camera to my computer.
So cool! Everything. It's like I've even been using I have a camera that I use for most of my references. I've been using phones, but then I also got a GoPro now that I really like.
Oh yeah.
And it's cool because I can control it with my phone. I can put it at different angles, but the only thing is it's fisheye, so it kind of distorts things a little bit. But I think you can get a lens that is not fisheye for it, which maybe I'll try to do that soon. But yeah, it's pretty cool. We definitely live in an age right now where it makes things a lot easier that way for us to be able to work very quickly.
And you can even download apps on the iTunes store that have the models that you can pose, and it kind of gives you a sense of like how they're lit and everything.
Wait, what's that? Because I've never really heard of that before.
Oh yeah. I know like on my iPad I have a couple of different apps that I've downloaded through the App Store. I forget what they're called, but it gives you like, it's kind of like a 3D type program where it provides you with like a model of like both like female and male models. And you can actually like pose their like bodies and their arms and stuff, and you can kind of like light them to kind of give an idea of how the shadows and highlights will fall on them and stuff. That can help some with. I've never used it that much because I haven't had to, but that's another idea that you can try.
That's cool. I'll have to look that up. That's interesting.
Yeah.
let's see. What was the rest of his question? The rest of his question was about like, okay, how do you find a perfect workflow, and how do you keep things from getting messy?
Okay, let's tackle the messy one. For Photoshop, I use folders a lot. Like I'll have a folder with just like my underpainting and the background, like grayscale art that I do, and then I'll have another folder for like when I go in and colorize the underpainting, and I'll have another folder for like final details, and I might have like another folder containing all my color adjustments and stuff. I just group everything.
Yeah.
Like I'll sometimes have like a folder for like this character or that character, and so on.
That's good. Yeah. See, unlike me, who just I just create a bunch of layers, and I do have it organized, and sometimes I even type in what that layer is, like hair.
Yeah, I don't always do that. I do try to keep it grouped.
I mostly only use when I'm painting a person. I'll mostly only use layers for like the hair, and that like because I like to build the hair up with like a layer of just broad shapes and values, and then I'll do like smaller hairs on top. But usually I just flatten it all down when I'm done. Like unless sometimes clients want to put some text or something behind someone's head and they want the hairs and stuff to go over that. I had someone ask me once if when I paint, do I do the shadows on one layer and then the lighting on another layer? It's so weird to me.
Yeah, no.
Because again, like I don't think that way.
Yeah, the only time I would do that is if I'm working for if I'm creating something meant for screen printing.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, that's the only time I do it.
That just seems so. That would be so more complicated. I think another thing to add to that one. Can I just paint? Is. Yeah. His other question was about the work. How do you find a perfect workflow? And I think what he means is like, I would assume what he means is how do you organize your day or your time when you're working on a deadline. I mean, let's assume that's what he's saying.
Yeah. Gosh, that's tricky because half the time I'm winging it as I go from day to day. But yeah, like I'll get up in the morning and I'll like check emails and stuff. Sometimes I'll reply to them if they're urgent. I just get in and I just start drawing really until about like 4 or so, and then I stop for the day. Then I'll sometimes come back at like 9 o'clock or something, and I might work another like hour or two, depending on what all I have going on.
How much time do they usually give you for when you did the Mandalorian, for example? Like how much time did they give you for that?
That one, the deadline was like end of December, and I think I got the project maybe around Thanksgiving or so. So I had a little over a month to do it. It varies from project to project.
So for me,
like for the Toy Story poster, I got it in like February, and I had like 3 or 4 months to work on it. So it
that's crazy.
Depends on how like rushed the studios are.
I hardly ever get work where I have that much time ever.
Yeah, it's like, nuts.
Like even the movie poster I was telling you about, it was for an Anna Kendrick movie. I have the poster on my website now. It's I have it up there just to show people, hey, whatever. But it's kind of, again, it's not something like I'm very proud of the work I did on it. It was a lot of detail, but I only had like 4 days, I think.
Oh wow!
And it was like I spent half the time painting this freaking Santa Claus like what do you call it? Like his gift bag or whatever. She's carrying it, and it's like it literally took me almost at least a full day or more just to paint that bag.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm spending way too much time on this. And so it's hard. Like certain jobs, like for me, like if I have a deadline for like a magazine, like Time or something like that, it's usually only a couple days that they give you. And so I just break it down to I got to get the drawing done and get that approved.
Yeah.
'cause that's the hardest part. Then, make sure that that's approved and everything.
Yeah.
And then once it's approved, then I set like goals for myself.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'll set goals for myself. And then, like, for example, today I need to get, if it's like a person, let's just say, or maybe it's two people, I need to have the faces blocked in to almost completion by the end of today.
Right.
If I can do that, the next thing is the hands are really important. I want to make sure those look really good. So I try to like kind of organize what I think is the most important things that have to be really, really, really good.
Right.
Not that the clothing doesn't have to be as good. It does, but you can get away with a little bit more and suggest a little bit more. But you never want the faces to look like crap or whatever. So you want to, but I find like I have to like break things down into like what's priority and like, okay, I have 1 day left. I have to finish so I have to like break it down to, okay, I gotta get this. Okay, I can do that. And so I have to make goals like, okay, the next 2 hours, I have to paint this hand in the next 2 hours, or these hands.
Yeah.
And that's all I focus on is that. Try to ignore the rest of the piece, It can be hard because that's not how I would normally work if I'm doing a painting for myself. I would just kind of work on the whole thing, and it's tricky. It's tricky.
It is.
But anyways, thanks for the questions. That was a good question. Sneaky bastard. You should change your Instagram to sneaky bastard.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. And so anyways, like I said, there's a couple fan arts. I'm going to show you that really quick because, like I said, I did not ask for people to do drawings this week, but a couple people surprised me. So let me show you really quick. Hopefully you're prepared. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. It's got aviators.
So this is by Dominic Zeilinger. He always does something unique with his work, and I really every week he sends in, mostly every time he sends stuff, and he always has like a real strong design element. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's very different.
Yeah, I like it. And then there's only one more. This one is from Juan Gastelum, and this one we have some things we can explore here. So Nice Behavior, Netflix season 1 with, I don't know what that says, oops or something. I'm not sure what you're holding.
I'm not sure.
Hand.
It looks, I don't know if it's like a revolver or if it's a pencil sharpener, like one of those like hand
You know
crank.
what? I think it is a revolver, and we're looking straight at it, and it looks like it says FU on it. And then you're holding a Corona. You're holding a Corona extra. You are living on the edge, drinking a Corona during the coronavirus.
Nice.
Yeah. That's funny. And you're in a spaceship. You are in a UFO. And it looks like you're wearing some sort of like kimono or something. Or like a Jedi outfit, maybe.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's different.
Well, thank you, Juan. That was very creative, and it gave us a lot to think about, Juan.
For sure.
That's funny. Am I back? Can you see me?
I see me.
Oh, hold on. Am I back now?
Yes, you are.
That's awesome. So anyways, that was fun and unexpected. Thank you, guys. So there's no order to this. This is just, I like to talk to people and have fun. So, what's the plan right now? Like, what are you doing right now with how everything going on with, this whole pandemic thing? And, have you found yourself being less creative or more creative during this?
Maybe a little bit less creative. Like I feel like my workflow has really like slowed down a lot ever since it started. Especially like with all my conventions being canceled. Like I've had to constantly like rearrange my guess, art schedule. Because usually I would like create art specifically for maybe certain cons, depending on whatever guest is there. But like I'll like start something and then like I'll have a commission come in and I have to work on the commission, and it feels like I just keep repeating that process. I just get nothing done almost.
Yeah. It's a weird time. It's very strange. I mean, I've been trying to do things as much as I can. Like, I mean, I've had a few commissions, but it has slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
So hopefully things come in soon.
I know.
But I've been trying to keep busy with like projects on the side a little bit, but it's hard. Like I said, we just had a baby, so
yeah,
that's a little bit. The baby's actually the easy part. It's dealing with the 2-year-old who is trying to wrap her mind around the fact that there's another little baby now. So, but I love it though. It's awesome. But yeah, it's a very strange time. It's very strange. How's it been in Tennessee? Is everything like on lockdown there still? Like here in Chicago, it's pretty much you can't go anywhere unless you're wearing a mask, and most things are shut down still.
Well, we can still go out, but like just now, my county that I live in, they did a mask mandate. I think it was last week. We are like very behind. Tennessee is very behind the times on requiring masks because of certain people.
Yeah.
But yeah, we won't go there. The cases have definitely been rising.
What are you talking about? What are you talking? Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. I always loved masks from the beginning. Okay, I've always said wear a mask. Wear a mask. That's what I've been saying the whole time. I said Fauci. Yep. You know it, and I know it. We all should wear masks. Okay, I've been saying it from the beginning. Believe me. Okay.
Your lips even like look like this.
This is what it looks like when I'm talking. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird because here, like in Chicago, it was very strange how everything happened because all of a sudden, I didn't take anything seriously at first because it just I just heard murmurs about things, and then all of a sudden I remember like when like the NBA got canceled. I was like, what?
Yeah,
that's crazy. Huge. What are you talking? And things just started slowly happening, and all of a sudden it was just like, people started panicking. I remember the first time I went to the grocery store and it was like nothing.
Oh, I know.
It was weird. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I went to another store, and because I live in the city, and there's stores everywhere, but every store was empty.
Yeah.
I started freaking out. Like, okay, so
it's getting real.
Yeah, and
even PetSmart and like Miles and Tractor Supply, like even like they were like running low on food and stuff for like livestock and pets and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. But I mean, it was weird. It was like that for a couple, maybe a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, and then things started being more like I noticed certain things were stocked more. And so it was really strange. But again, in Chicago, we had no idea for a little bit like how serious it really was. And at first, nobody was wearing masks in the stores.
Oh no,
like
same here.
Yeah, it was like I remember the first time I went into a Walgreens, and I had a mask. This was before they said you had to,
Yeah.
Started wearing a mask, but I noticed there's a guy, he wouldn't even let you in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. So it's been a really strange, like if you think about like how this first started to where we are now, now it's almost like this. Oh yeah, this is normal. This is just normal now.
It feels like we've been doing this for like a decade.
It's been so
dragged
strange.
On so much.
It's so strange, and like, and again, like it's weird because I don't know how you've experienced it, but like, here it's like there's so many people that I know that don't take it seriously.
Oh yeah.
And then there's other people that are to the opposite extreme, and it's like,
Mhm.
and then the media is the same exact way, like,
Yeah,
it's
it
like, oh, it's
is.
nothing, and then it's like, no, it's, it's the
Yeah.
opposite. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a weird time.
It
It's a weird
is.
time. But it's it's interesting. That's one reason why I like to talk with artists about, like, we're all going through this together right now. So
Mhm.
hopefully this will be something positive that we can all learn from and take away from to do, to be able to, better ourselves in our profession, and
Mhm.
maybe also to not take everything for granted as much as we maybe did
Really.
before, because I think this is ultimately going to change a lot of things, right?
I think so.
Um,
Yeah.
So it's interesting, for sure.
Yep.
Like it's crazy too, because it's I think we're at this stage where we're kind of getting just tired of talking about it, and like, but I mean, it hasn't gone away. So it's like, but it's
Right.
like I'm so bored with it. It's like I sort of do comedy on the side. Like I'm very at the beginning stages still of that adventure in my life, but I want to get back and start doing it again. And I know some clubs are starting to happen in Chicago, but it's very strange. Like, there's no microphone. There's a mic that hangs from the ceiling, and
Yeah.
there's like everything's strange. Everyone's behind plexiglass, and it's just, this is so
Mhm.
weird. But when I'm thinking about that from a creative aspect, I don't want to talk about Corona. I don't want to, like,
Mhm.
and I wonder, is everyone going to be talking about Corona? And then, like, artwork. How much artwork
Yeah.
are you seeing has, but it would be kind of funny, I think, in a way, to do, like, for what you do, like a movie poster, like, just spoof the whole idea, like, do a new movie that comes out, but everyone's just got a mask on the poster, so you can't really
Yeah.
see their face, or
That'd be funny.
this is 2020, like the next Spider-Man that comes out. Everyone, even
Yeah.
Spider-Man's got a mask on his mask. It's interesting, weird times, very strange
Yeah.
times. But before we end this whole guacamole, what would you leave everyone with, as far as, like, people that are interested in doing, like,
Mhm.
poster art, or
Yeah.
kind of stuff, like, what kind of advice would you have for those folks out there?
Watch a lot of movies. Look at a lot of posters. Like, look at a lot of posters and see, like, what's popular and stuff. Follow artists on social media, study their work, and see what you love about their work, and maybe figure out how to adapt that into your own style, and practice. Practice.
Is there like, when you're composing a poster, though, is there, let's say whatever, what's a new movie that's out?
Are there any new movies that are
Well, whatever. Let's just say, for example, let's just say The Office. Okay, we'll say The Office. How do you go about composing that, as far as like, who are you going to make Michael Scott the main character, right? Because I mean, he's kind of
the center focus, because he
so
is the main character.
yeah. So
And I'm actually working on something like that right now.
cool.
Then I think you might have seen him on Instagram. I've been individually
I
sketching
saw a
out.
sketch, I think, that you did.
Yeah, I've started sketching out, like, each character, and then eventually I'm going to combine them into one, like, big poster, with everyone on it, and then I'm going to have, like, different, like, inside jokes throughout, like the Dundee and the Jello and that type of stuff. But yeah, Michael Scott would be, like, the main center focus. He'd be the largest because he's the most important. And then I'll probably have, like, maybe Jim and Dwight and Pam as, like, the second largest.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd, like, have, like, the office building, like, at the bottom of the poster, because it's a very, like, important piece of imagery from the show. And then, like, everyone else will be kind of, like, grouped. I'll have, like, accounting in one section of the poster, and then like Andy and Stanley and Phyllis will be, like, on one section in their own little desk clump, and so on.
See that? So I think that's awesome for people that are interested in doing posters, because that's kind of, I think, for one, obviously you have to understand the show,
Right.
you know, and what the point of the plot is and all that kind of stuff. But I think what you do is really cool, because you've got to come up with where you want the eye to be directed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's got to be obviously like a flow,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the best posters have like a nice design to it, so it's not just the characters kind of blobbed together.
Right.
Like I thought it was interesting how you did the Ad Astra poster with like the roundness of, you know, with his helmet, and you know, I just thought that was kind of cool design. But I think it's important to have like that kind of, you know, right away, like something that grabs your attention.
Yeah, you gotta have that eye-catching.
Did you notice
Get your attention.
the poster for, why am I blanking? The Last Jedi. The official
There's a
poster.
bunch of different posters for the last.
Well, the official poster, the one that was like, I wish I could show it right now, but
I know.
I thought what was really interesting in that poster is whoever did it, like hid Darth Vader's helmet within the shape of all the characters, and like you could literally lay over Darth Vader's helmet over it, and like even the triangle, the way the characters had like their weapons and different things formed like the triangle shape.
Get up on my phone.
And it was really, I thought it was really cool, and it made me think, oh, is there going to be a secret Darth Vader thing in this movie? Like, what are they trying to say? And then other people like, oh, you're just looking into it too much. That's not supposed to be Darth Vader's helmet, but it's like it's clearly his. You can see his helmet in the poster. But I think things like that are pretty cool. You know,
I love that
just
imagery.
Yeah, just to like, you know, come up with a cool design like that. But are there any books that you recommend? Like you said, the Thing book.
Yeah, the Thing art book. Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about in the poster. It's very subtle.
Yeah, but you can see.
Yeah, but you can definitely see. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like art books.
Yeah.
Like, of course, the Thing art book, and then they also came out with bring it out, the Stranger Things book, which I was in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very cool piece that you did too. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's somewhere. It was on page like 50 or something. There it is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, these art books have a lot of great inspiration that you can look through.
What's the name of that book?
Visions from the Upside Down, the Stranger Things art book.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to pick that up. That's really cool. So cool.
Like a lot of people are in here.
I have to look that up. Yeah, that's really cool. So, anyways, I want to thank you so much for doing this, hanging out and talking. This was really fun to hang out and talk with you. I think your work's awesome, and it's really cool to see. You know, like I also have a love for movies, and one thing that drew me to your work was just looking through and just seeing all these, like, oh, this is awesome, because it's one thing to do like you know, some kind of pop culture type image, but what I like about what you're doing is you can tell that, oh, she really likes this movie, she really likes these characters, and I think that really comes through with your work, so that's pretty awesome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. So anyways, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time. Anything you want to let people know, direct you towards your Instagram and that kind of thing, or fuck them. They don't care.
You can follow me at CM Lowe Art, CMLOWEART, or you can just Google my name, Chelsea Lowe, and I should pop up everywhere.
She will pop up.
I hope so.
She will pop up
on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. Although I've kind of stopped using Tumblr and Facebook.
I don't even know what Tumblr is.
It was like a micro blogging website where you
post I do remember
stuff
that.
and you can reblog it from other people. They like changed their like terms and conditions.
She'll pop up even on Tumblr.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I used to do a blog back in the day. Well, anyways, thank you everybody for joining in and supporting the podcast. Do me a favor, if you like the content and what we've been doing here, I say we as if there's a group. It's just me. But anyways, if you like the podcast, please smash that like button on YouTube. And thank you all for watching along. And we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
You want answers? The truth shall set you free. I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.